The first time I heard the name Jonathan, it sounded like a whisper the wind forgot to carry properly. It was raining in Newcastle upon Tyne. Not the dramatic kind of rain, just that quiet, stubborn drizzle that makes the streets shine like broken mirrors. I was closing up the community center on Granger Street when Mrs. Duru stopped me. "Have you seen him?" she asked. "Seen who?" "Jonathan." She said it like I was supposed to know, like everybody was supposed to know. I didn't, but I would. Jonathan had been missing for 9 days. 9. Not the kind of missing where someone forgets to answer calls, not the kind where they're taking space. This was the kind where the police had already knocked on doors, where posters had begun to peel off lampposts, where whispers started replacing conversations. He was 23, studied biomedical sciences at university. Quiet, brilliant. The type that noticed things most people overlooked. I didn't know him personally, but I knew of him because he volunteered at the center on weekends, because he helped elderly residents fill out forms without making them feel small, because he once fixed the printer everyone else had given up on, and because 3 days before he disappeared, he left a note. Not a goodbye, just one sentence in the suggestion box. Sometimes the answers are hiding in plain sight. No one thought anything of it until he vanished. The police said there was no sign of foul play, no forced entry at his flat, no suspicious transactions. Phone last pinged near the Tyne Bridge, case pending. But something about that sentence bothered me. Sometimes the answers are hiding in plain sight. Jonathan wasn't dramatic. He wasn't cryptic. He wasn't the poetic type scribbling riddles for effect. He was precise, systematic. The kind of mind that saw patterns where others saw chaos. I couldn't shake the feeling that he had left something behind deliberately. So I started looking. His room at the center was untouched. A half-finished cup of tea fossilized on the desk, a notebook beside it. The notebook wasn't a diary. It was structured. Columns, bullet points, observations, dates, times, names. I felt my stomach tighten. This wasn't random scribbling. It was documentation. Jonathan had been tracking something. Specifically, the care home next door. He'd written about medication errors, about residents complaining of missing money, about a man named Mr. Whitaker whose condition deteriorated suddenly after a change in staff. Each note was clean, factual. No emotion, but on the final page, there it was again, plain sight, and under it, "If anything happens to me, check the ordinary. If anything happens to me." I sat back. My heart started pounding loud enough to fill the room. The ordinary. What is more ordinary than routine? So I went to the care home. The manager smiled too much. "We follow all safeguarding protocols," she said before I even asked. Interesting choice of words. I hadn't accused them of anything. I asked about Mr. Whitaker. "Natural causes," she replied. I asked about staff turnover. "Normal." I asked about missing funds. Administrative confusion. Everything was normal. Too normal. That night I couldn't sleep because I realized something. Jonathan wasn't missing. He was silenced. 3 days later, the police found his backpack near the river. Empty. No signs of struggle. The news spread fast. People started saying what people always say when they don't understand something. Maybe he was depressed. Maybe he needed space. Maybe. I hated the maybes. Jonathan didn't leave maybes. He left data. So I went back to his notes, and then I saw it. Every time he mentioned the care home, he referenced a specific delivery schedule. Tuesdays, 11:30 a.m. Medical supply vans, routine, ordinary, hiding in plain sight. The following Tuesday, I stood across the street pretending to scroll through my phone. 11, 27.11, 29.11, 31. The van arrived, white, unmarked. 2 men stepped out, not in uniform, no logos, quick, efficient. They didn't carry medication crates, they carried locked cases. They stayed exactly 7 minutes. 7, not 10. Not 15, 7. Then they left. I took pictures. I followed. Not closely, just enough. They didn't drive toward the hospital. They drove toward an industrial estate, and that's when I stopped breathing, because Jonathan's phone had last pinged there. I didn't go to the police immediately. I needed certainty, so I returned that night. The warehouse looked abandoned, but it wasn't. There was light inside. I don't know what possessed me to go in. Maybe anger, maybe guilt, maybe fear. The door wasn't locked. Inside, it smelled sterile, not like a warehouse, like a lab, temporary stations, coolers, stacks of files, and then a voice. "You shouldn't be here." I froze. Jonathan stepped out of the shadows, alive, thinner, but alive. "You're supposed to be missing," I whispered. "I am. What is this?" He looked tired, not scared, just disappointed. "They're running clinical trials without consent," he he said, targeting residents with no family oversight, altering medication records. The care home is a feeder. My head spun. That's illegal. I know. Why didn't you go to the police? He gave me a look that chilled me. I did. Silence filled the room like smoke. They're connected, he continued. This isn't small. It's systemic. The 1% behind curtains controlling the 10% who control the rest. The ordinary hiding something monstrous. I remembered something you once said about systems. How power rarely announces itself loudly. It hides in paperwork, in routine, in policy. Then why disappear? I asked. Because once they realized I knew, I had two options: be discredited or vanish. Now I gather enough evidence to make it impossible to ignore. He handed me a flash drive in case I don't make it. My chest tightened. You're not dying tonight, I said. He almost smiled. 3 weeks later, the story broke. Not locally, nationally. Investigations, arrests, suspensions, the care home shut down, the warehouse sealed, the van traced. Jonathan testified anonymously, protection granted. He never moved back to his old flat. Some say he relocated to London. Some say abroad. But every now and then, I get a postcard, no return address, just one sentence: still watching the ordinary. Finding Jonathan wasn't about tracking a missing person. It was about uncovering what everyone else chose not to see. The truth rarely screams. It whispers. And sometimes the answers really are hiding in plain sight. And now you know, Jonathan was found. But here's the question that should keep you awake tonight. How many Jonathans were never found? How many truths are buried under the word routine? How many systems smile politely while swallowing the vulnerable whole? Because sometimes evil doesn't look like chaos. It looks like paperwork. It looks like policy. It looks ordinary. And somewhere in your town, maybe even in your street, something is happening in plain sight. The question is, would you notice, or would you walk past it like everyone else did? This has been another story from Folktales of Many Tribes, where we don't just tell stories, we uncover them. And remember, not every disappearance is an accident. Some are warnings. I'll see you in the next tale. But until then, keep watching the ordinary.